Today I effed up. TIFU by dragging my balls over my wife's head. We were in a playful mood, stirring each other up. The kids were in their rooms playing. Wife was sitting on the floor with her back against the couch playing her Steam Deck. I was sitting directly behind her on the couch. We had been playing around all afternoon, slapping each other ass, throwing pillows etc. at each other. General shenanigans. I thought it would be a funny idea to get up and drag my balls across the top of her head on my way to the kitchen. I was freshly showered, so balls were fresh ASF. As I stood up, I proceeded to start my great plan. At that moment, she moved her head to a weird angle and kinked her neck. What was supposed to be a funny moment turned into pain and awkwardness. TLDR dragged nuts across my wife's head. Wife kinked neck in the process. Edit, she is okay. Today I effed up. TIFU by eating 161 eggs in 13 days. I ate 12 to 13 eggs a day and ended up spiraling into severe depression and started having some pretty dark suicidal thoughts, like constantly thinking about cutting my neck or wrists off. Nothing brought me joy. I was so exhausted physically, mentally, and emotionally. All I wanted to do was stay in bed. I'm sure it was because I had way too much acetylcholine. Eggs are naturally rich in choline, which the body converts into acetylcholine. I remember feeling the exact same messed up way when I took supplements that increase AC. How did I not see this coming? High ACH dampens dopamine and serotonin, leaving you feeling numb, apathetic, and consumed by dark thoughts. It also overstimulates the nervous system, causing you to burn out, feel anxious, and just utterly exhausted. I felt every bit of that. In case you're wondering, I ate so many eggs simply because I love them. I know it was a stupid decision, but love makes you blind, you know? Yolk high is real shit. I get this urge to put an egg on everything. I'll stick with 3 eggs a day, max from now on. But first, I need to detox. First few days are going to be rough. There will be cravings, withdrawal, maybe dreams about runny yolks. Gotta stay strong. No omelets, no sunny side-ups, not even a whiff of scrambled. I'm going cold turkey. Wish me luck. TLDR ate too many eggs, ended up deeply depressed with dark thoughts. Now detoxing and cutting back to 3 eggs a day. Today I effed up. TIFU by letting my cat gaslight me into thinking I was losing my mind. So I live alone, and I'm reasonably sure my apartment isn't haunted. But today, my cat decided to test my grip on reality. This morning, I made a sandwich. I put the bread on the counter, turned around to grab the peanut butter, and when I turned back, the bread was gone. Vanished. No crumbs, no evidence, just gone. I stood there, questioning every life decision that led to this moment. Did I ever actually take the bread out? Had I imagined it? Was I in fact the bread? Then I heard it. A tiny smug little thump. I looked over, and there was my cat, Mr. Pickles, sitting in the middle of the living room floor on top of my slice of bread. Just sitting there, like it was a normal thing to do. Like he hadn't just gaslit me into thinking I needed a brain scan. He made direct eye contact, held it. Then, ever so slowly, he started kneading the bread. Sir, that is my sandwich. What are we doing here? I took it back, don't judge me, I'm broke, made my sandwich and went about my day. Fast forward to lunch. I grab a plate, sit down to eat, and my sandwich is missing. Guess who's on the table, sitting on my sandwich like it's his throne? Mr. Pickles. Guess who now has a cat-shaped imprint on their peanut butter and jelly? Me. I am being dominated in my own home by an 8-pound furball with a superiority complex. Send help, or at least bread. TLDR. My cat is gaslighting me by stealing my food and sitting on it like some kind of bread-hoarding goblin. I no longer trust reality. Today I effed up. TIFU by accidentally conditioning my body to panic when I wear jeans and making myself sick on my birthday. I F22 have an anxiety disorder and PTSD. I've had anxiety since I was 9 years old, but I was only diagnosed and started treatment when I was 19. Because my PTSD was starting to cause me to regularly have panic attacks in public, and my usual tactics were no longer working. I also wear jeans everywhere. I don't wear things like leggings, sweatpants, or shorts in public. I barely wear skirts or dresses. This is how it has been for roughly 7 years now. I prefer the slight compression of skinny jeans, but my circulation issues got worse and I had to buy other styles. The problem is that because I only wear jeans in public and I only have my anxiety symptoms and panic attacks when I leave the house, I've found my body starts to have that response when I wear any jeans. When I occasionally wear a dress, it's not an issue. Today is my birthday and I was supposed to go shopping with my mom and sister, but after I got dressed, all of my usual symptoms started to happen. My stomach has been acting up, I'm suddenly tired, and I've had to stop myself from crying a few times. I assumed this was because I was about to leave the house and that my meds hadn't fully kicked in. But as soon as I changed into a different pair of pants, the symptoms started to go away. My only non-jean pants are pajama pants and leggings. Now I'm going to have to undo this accidental conditioning so I can dress normally without suffering again. TLDR. Because I only wear jeans when I'm in public and I only have anxiety issues in public, I've accidentally conditioned my body to trigger my anxiety symptoms anytime I wear jeans. Today I effed up. TIFU by going to a food pantry for the first time and unknowingly becoming a volunteer. I thought I was shopping for myself. It ended in an international crisis food bank security when I was caught loading the groceries in the trunk of my car. Today, I fucked up by going to the food pantry, unknowingly becoming a volunteer, meanwhile, thinking I'm shopping for myself, which resulted in what seemed like an international crisis. Food bank security getting caught loading the groceries in the trunk of my car. This happened this afternoon. I'm in between jobs and money is tight. I keep reading food bank stories on Reddit and I thought I'd look into it. According to Reddit, it's not embarrassing, has no judgment, and to take what you need. The food bank website about us said drive through, bring a utility bill and bring your ID. It was open today from 200 to 3:30 and it's less than 2 miles away. I'm very nervous. I feel guilty being in a time of need, but feeling reassurance from reading all of Reddit experiences that I decide I'm going to give it a shot. I pull up to the location. It's a large church. I see an industrial building off to left of the church complex. That must be where I'm supposed to go. Mind you, I'm thinking how strange that it's not busy, and there's only a handful of cars. Where's the drive-through? I park and go through a large metal door. There's a sign-in sheet, and I fill it out, thinking how nice it was that I didn't have to fill out a bunch of paperwork. It looks like the back of a food warehouse with food and shelving. I walk through the maze and see a line of grocery carts. I'm thankful I figured this out all on my own. A woman grabbing a cart asked me why I was there, and I said I was shopping for the very first time and that I had already signed in. She hands me a cart and says she'll walk me through. We shake hands and I get in line with my cart. I put my purse in the cart. The person behind me said I could put my purse back in the break room. I said, that's okay, I prefer to keep it on me. It's chaotic in the food pantry warehouse. We are all lined up with our carts in a single file line. We made our way to where the shelves of food started. She instructed me to grab 2 produce items from a large box on the pallet. I'm leaning down and I'm looking at each item, trying to decide which 2 I want. Then we move along. This time it's a tall shelving tower with 4 shelves. I'm told to grab 2 from the top, 1 from the 3rd shelf, and 2 from the bottom 2 shelves. It's canned goods and sweets like cupcakes. Again, I'm looking at all the choices. She is getting irritated with me selecting certain items over others. We get to what I think is the checkout, and she tells me we just push the cart out of the big door and get back in line. I start walking out, confused as hell, because my car is on the other side of the building. I ask her how am I supposed to get the food to my trunk. It finally clicks with her that I'm not a volunteer, but a very confused person going to the food bank for the first time. It was so funny. We had a good laugh. She told me the next time what I'm actually supposed to do. Then I take my cart out of the back of the warehouse. I'm loading the very last box in my trunk when security scares the shit out of me. She had a walkie-talkie and was not pleased. I was interrogated. I explained what happened and said it was funny and next time I know what to do. She tells me it's not funny and I need to walk to the other side and fill out a registration form. She grabbed my cart and told me to walk with her. I am so embarrassed, laughing when we are walking there because I now see the actual logistics. There's a snake line of cars like the lines you go through at an amusement park. I'm deposited at the check-in station. Now everything is making sense. The director helped me complete the forms. At least she saw the humor in it. But what ended up happening was I filled out the registration as instructed by security. That was actually the volunteer registration. Anyway, I'll be volunteering on Thursday from 1 to 4. And the kicker is, volunteers take all the stuff that's left over. They need the space for the next load. Bonus, I already went through training. TLDR, I fucked up by going to a food pantry for the first time and unknowingly becoming a volunteer. I thought I was shopping for myself. It ended in an international crisis food bank security when I was caught loading the groceries in the trunk of my car. Today I effed up. TIFU by not realizing my leg fell asleep. Of course, this happened yesterday. I got home from work and flopped down on my bed, laying on my back with my legs dangling off the edge. One of my cats came and laid down on my chest as she likes to do. I didn't want to disturb my cute little cat loaf, but my feet were getting cold. So what did I do? I picked my legs up and laid with them crossed. Not at the ankle, but crisscross style, so my cold toes got tucked into my warm knee pits. I dozed off for a few minutes with my cat napping on my chest. I woke back up a little later needing to pee, so I carefully moved my cat beside me and stood up. My legs felt normal until I took a step. Turns out, my left leg had fallen asleep. It instantly collapsed under me and I fell hard to the floor. I banged my knee pretty hard and hit my head against the wall. My hand hurt a bit from unsuccessfully trying to catch myself too. I now have a massive bruise on my knee the next day that hurts. TLDR cat laid on my chest, leg fell asleep and I didn't feel it somehow, fell and hurt myself trying to get up. Today I effed up. TIFU by buying a truck with a rolled back odometer. I'm kicking myself for ignoring red flags and not getting a Carfax report before buying it. I found a 2014 Ford F-150 XLT 5.0 V8 listed for $8,600 on Facebook Marketplace. The seller claimed he had owned it for 2 years and had treated it like his baby. The price was great compared to others with similar mileage, 166,500 miles on the odometer. When I met the guy to check it out and test drive it, everything seemed solid. I told him I wanted a pre-purchase inspection, but he got defensive, saying I was wasting his time and that he had tons of other buyers. Red flag, I know. He refused to let me take it for an inspection, even with a deposit, saying he didn't have time all week. Eventually, I decided to take the risk and bought it for $8,400 after negotiating. I have the title signed by him. After I got home, I ran a Carfax report out of curiosity. And that's when I saw it. The last recorded mileage was 254,113 just a few months ago, almost 100,000 more miles than what the odometer shows. The guy only bought it last year in another state, not 2 years ago like he claimed. He even texted me after the sale, saying his brother is selling another F-150, which coincidentally has around 160k miles too. So now I'm left with a truck that has way more miles than I thought. I plan to get the truck inspected tomorrow to confirm any tampering. I'm also considering filing complaints with the Texas DMV and NHTSA for odometer fraud. I know I messed up by skipping the inspection, but I don't want to let this dude get away with it easily. If anyone has advice on how to outplay this guy, I'm all ears. TLDR bought an F-150 off a guy on Marketplace, later found out the odometer was rolled back by nearly 100k miles. The seller lied about how long he owned it, refused a pre-purchase inspection, and may be doing this as a scheme. Now I'm looking for ways to hold him accountable. Update. Some people have mentioned that Carfax is sometimes wrong. The Carfax report had 36 entries, and they all show increasing miles from various business DMVs. So I don't think the mileage show is wrong. Here are the last 3 owners' activity in the report. Today I effed up. TIFU by participating in a disappoint your parents party and actually disappointing my parents. Me and my group of friends like holding different themed get-togethers and parties with creative themes and incentives to dress up, like awarding gift cards and cash prizes to the best costume. Our last party was on New Year's Eve, and the theme was disappointing your parents. There was a lot of creativity, with people showing up pregnant, including the men with the love child of maligned celebrities, inmates in orange jumpsuits, and sleazy drug dealers and pimps. The winner was a friend of mine who showed up as Alex Jones from InfoWars and left the party shirtless, popping horse dewormer and screaming obscenities about water-turning frogs gay. I showed up as a witch, partly because I already had the costume on hand, and honestly, because I like dressing up as a witch. So I partied with the hat, the dress, and a straw broom, and it was fun until my parents found out what I was wearing. At first, I thought they were joking around, pretending to be disappointed because I had worn a witch costume a few times before. When I was a teenager, mostly on Halloween, I thought, oh good. It was a disappoint your parents party, and my mum and dad are disappointed. Mission accomplished. But then they started getting serious, saying that I was taking the costume too seriously as an adult since I had worn it more than once as a teenager, and they were legitimately worried that I was practicing witchcraft by wearing a costume. They even went as far as to suggest that the broom had phallic symbolism to openly disclose lust for men, which was mortifying to think about. Anyway, there I was, telling my parents that it was a costume party, and they decided that because I've dressed as a witch as an adult, that I'm somehow in league with Satan and in need of a baptism, tanning bed with holy water bath salts or something. Since that time, they want to take precautionary measures by bringing me to church every weekend, humiliating me in front of clergymen by telling them that I'm wearing a witch costume as an adult, dumping the costume in the rubbish, and even wanting to review my playlist on Spotify to see if there's any influences to witchcraft. Needless to say, I've set all my social media to private and scrubbed my parents' comments from my posts, and refused to answer my parents' calls until discount Alex Jones surrenders his prize to me, since I've actually managed to disappoint my religious parents at the New Year's Eve Disappoint Your Parents party. TLDR went to a Disappoint Your Parents themed party, went dressed as a witch, and actually disappointed my parents with my costume choice due to their religious beliefs, and now they think I'm possessed and need an exorcism. Today I effed up. TIFU by not picking up trash. I'm usually a pretty clean guy, as that's the way I was raised to be. But today I decided to toss a bag of chips onto the floor instead of throwing it away. It was night, I was tired, and I didn't feel like getting out of bed and walking downstairs to the trash can. Sue me. In hindsight, I should have just bought a trash can a while ago. I needed to use the restroom. So I got out of bed and started walking to the conjoining bathroom. As I walked, I stepped on the empty bag of chips, slipping and falling hard on my ass. And I mean hard. The whole damn floor shook as I landed. No joke. I still live with my parents, so they immediately rushed into the room and saw me on the floor, rubbing my sore behind. Got a pretty bad bruise from the fall, and I'm currently sitting on the couch with an ice pack while writing this. I learned a lesson today, and that is to pick up your trash. TLDR, I left a piece of trash on the floor, slipped on it, and landing on the floor hard. I ended up with a bruised butt. Today I effed up. TIFU thinking that a UV light was a normal night lamp. 5 days ago, I traveled to Sanya, basically the Miami of China, to spend the winter and Chinese New Year there with my family. My grandma prepared my bedroom for me, and as soon as I entered the room, I noticed this weird-looking lamp without a shade that had a blue-purple-ish color to it. I didn't question it much other than thinking that my grandma probably had a unique taste in home decors. I then proceeded to spend the rest of the week with this weird lamp for a few hours every night while I scrolled on Reels and TikTok before I went to sleep. Now you must wonder, how did my dumbass not notice that I was being exposed to basically the full power of the sun without the ozone on a cloudless afternoon, while butt naked for hours? Here's the thing, Sanya has a tropical monsoon climate where the sun is literally a deadly laser, and I have been drinking a bunch of 80-proof baijiu every day as soon as I've arrived BC of the holidays. I felt the sunburn sensation on my skin immediately on day 2 and started peeling on day 3, especially on my face. Everyone around me just assumed I was a thin-skinned babyface BC. All the UNCs I had met were totally fine, playing golf or hanging around outside all day without sunscreen. I accepted the humiliation, and honestly, based on my previous experience, swimming in Egypt on a cloudy day and literally shedding my entire skin like a snake afterwards, I thought it was a me problem too. In the morning of day 4, after an extra intense night of alcohol overconsumption, I woke up literally unable to keep my eyes open for more than 5 seconds. I asked Google if this was a common hangover symptom, and MF said yes. I then proceeded to purchase some artificial tears to help my eyes feel better. On top of the dryness, I wasn't even able to focus my eyes all day, and my vision got noticeably worse. My face was peeling too. Still, I thought I was just hungover and was suffering the consequences of being a low melanin beta. Finally, tonight, my grandma switched my lamp for a brighter one. BC, she thought it looked weird too, and had the lamp placed in another room where my mum was going to stay. My mum immediately noticed a weird smell. I did not smell anything when I had it, and realized the lamp is actually emitting UV light. Apparently, one of my uncle bought my grandma this lamp during the pandemic to help disinfect things, and she forgot what it was for. Thankfully, nobody used it before I came. My eyes have recovered, and my skin has almost stopped peeling since. I'm just thankful that I didn't accidentally leave the light on all night long. Now take this lesson in and please double check when a light near you has blue-purple colors or smelled off. Also, always wear sunscreen. Don't forget your ears too. TLDR got exposed to intense UV radiation from a light that my grandma mistakenly placed in my bedroom, thinking it was a normal lamp. Thought it was just BC of sunburn and being hangover until mum realized what was off. Today I effed up. TIFU by eating my father's gummies. Hello everyone. First-time poster, and I thought this would be a funny one. So last December, I am 40 and my family sisters, parents, kids, gathered at my sister's boyfriend's place for Christmas dinner. Since my parents and one of my sister is from out of town, my parents were going to be sleeping at my and my spouse's F-35 house, and we would meet up with the rest of the family later on. My parents arrived around 10 a.m. We helped them take out their luggage, and we packed the car with the gifts I bought since all 4 of us would just take one vehicle. Right after that was done, my father asked me if I wanted some gummy candy he had brought in a Tupperware container. It isn't unusual for him to have some candy, like peppermints or jujubes, so I took 2 pieces and didn't think anything of it. I found it tasted a bit off, and he told me afterwards it was special candy. Now, for context, both my parents are retired, and we live in Canada, where this would be considered legal. More on that later. I also want to add that I already ate edibles before, and for some reason, they never do anything to me. They are basically overpriced normal candy for me. So after this, I already forgot about the candy, and by 11:30 a.m., we went to the family dinner. We get there, talk for a bit. My sister's boyfriend gives a tour of his house, the usual stuff. Around 1:30 p.m., however, I start feeling a bit lightheaded, and it soon dawns on me the edibles are kicking in. I am not new to cannabis use, but I knew something was not normal. I started sinking into my chair and I remained silent, hoping no one would notice that I was starting to become real fucked up. My heart started racing and I knew I was in for a long haul. After about 30 minutes of this, my sister, who was cooking at the time, comes to me and sees me and asks me if I'm all right, since I was being quiet. I brush it off and say I'm fine and was able to fly under the radar for another 15 minutes or so. At this point, my sister comes back and says loudly, "Holy crap, are you okay? Your eyes are basically non-existent." At this point, my spouse turns to me and asks me the same thing and looks worried for a second and asks, "What's wrong, baby?" Oh, I get it, remembering the gummies I ate. At that point, the cat was out of the bag, and my father gets wind of this and comes in the living room with a huge smile and laughs a bit at the situation. Now for the screwed up part. In Canada, the stores are limited with the amount of THC per package, hence why it never hits me. But we find out that he didn't buy this at the stores, but rather went at a dispensary on a native reserve, which circumvents some rules. We figured out that the 2 gummies I ate contained upwards of 150 mg of THC, which would be like eating 15 to 20 gummies of the normal ones sold at the government outlets. We started the gift exchange soon after, and I was trying to keep my cool and avoid eye contact with the kids, since a couple of them were 13 and 14 and might know that I was tripping balls. My sisters, the boyfriend and parents were poking fun at me a bit during this time, and I was still melted in the same chair since I wasn't sure I could stand up straight. Thankfully, my heart stopped racing by supper and I really enjoyed the supper. Everyone thought it was hilarious, and I was still trying to avoid eye contact with the kids, trying not to be the inebriated uncle. By 8 p.m., my father asked if it was a good trip, to which I replied, ongoing still, at which he laughed profusely. I was still feeling it the next morning. Should have ate only one. TLDR. My father gave me way too strong gummies before a family dinner. Today I effed up. TIFU by accidentally swallowing my daughter's tooth. I have nobody to share this with because I am beyond mortified and embarrassed, so I'm posting on here. Today I had a very busy day ahead of me. I've been running around, cleaning and doing laundry and grocery shopping, typical mom things. When I got back from the store, I figured I should take a Ritalin to kind of give myself a little extra boost. They're prescribed. Relax. I usually only take half of one and save the other half for another day. When I'm out and about, I keep the half I save in a Ziploc so I don't have to bring the whole bottle with me. That was my first mistake. Coincidentally, my daughter also lost a tooth this morning, so I also put her tooth in a little baggie to keep it safe until we got home. I didn't even think about the tooth until I took the bag out and swallowed what I thought was my half pill, and I only realized when it felt sharp going down. I am horrified. Before I get bashed for not realizing it was a tooth, 7-year-old's teeth are so small and roughly the same size as my Ritalin. I also have to make up a story for my daughter because she's going to want to put her tooth under her pillow tonight. TLDR, I mixed up my medication with my daughter's tooth. She lost this morning because they were both in the same kind of Ziploc bag. Today I effed up. TIFU by accidentally destroying my website, then finding the backup months later in the most unexpected place. So, about a year ago, I built a website, made it live, and even got it listed on Google. Everything was going great. A few months ago, I noticed a small issue in my sign-up feature. Users were required to create a username with at least 2 characters. Out of curiosity, I decided to test what would happen if I tried just 2 dots as a username, and then I fucked up. I had built a feature where, after sign-up, every user would get a personal page at username. For example, a user named John would have John index. PHP automatically created. But when I used as a username, my script ended up creating index PHP, which basically means it overwrote my website's main index PHP file. In an instant, my entire website was gone. The homepage was completely replaced, and nothing worked anymore. At first, I thought, okay, no big deal. I'll just restore it from a backup. Then it hit me. I never made a backup. Panic, regret, self-hate. I spent hours trying to recover it, but there was nothing I could do. Months of work gone because of my own stupidity. I cursed myself for not backing up my files and eventually accepted my fate. The site was dead, and I had no choice but to move on. Now here's where things get crazy. On January 30th, I was casually going through my Google Drive, cleaning up old files, when I saw a zip file named Files. Zip. At first, I ignored it, thinking it was just some random junk I uploaded a long time ago. Then, on February 3rd, out of nowhere, it hit me. Wait, could that be my website backup? I immediately downloaded the file, unzipped it, and holy shit, it was my entire website. I had unknowingly backed up my site months ago and completely forgotten about it. Within an hour, I restored everything, and my website was back online. I cannot explain the pure joy I felt at that moment. Lesson learned: never test dumb inputs on a live website, and always make backups. TLDR tried using as a username on my site, which accidentally overwrote my main index. PHP, completely breaking my website. Thought I lost everything, but on February 3rd, I found an old backup in my Google Drive and saved the day. Today I effed up. TIFU by putting a magnet in my ear. TLDR, I put a magnet in my ear and had to go to the ER to get it taken out. So I was looking into discreet ways to listen to stuff without visible earphones or headphones, and came across an interesting device. It's an induction loop, you attach batteries and an audio source to it. Then, the piece de la résistance, the earpiece. Or rather, a tiny magnet you're supposed to put into your ear canal. So I tried it out. Yes, dumb. I realize that now. It did work, actually surprisingly well, with pretty clear audio quality, but then I tried to take the magnet out with a tool that was provided. I quickly realized the magnet was stuck. Very stuck. Unpleasantly stuck. I got myself to the ER, described in shame what I had done, and settled in to wait. Several hours later, all the while having my head titled, because it hurt to have it straight, I was seen by an ENT. The doctor was very professional about it. With whole ordeal took less than 15 minutes. She used some sort of suction thing to take it out, checked for damage, packed my ear with gauze, and sent me home. My ear thankfully came out fine, intact eardrum, some minor bleeding. Don't put things in your ears. Unless they have a base of some sort, that means it won't get stuck in your ear canal. That probably applies to all body orifices. Today I effed up. TIFU, I tore my esophagus. You all enjoyed yesterday's so much, I thought I'd do another. This happened at the start of COVID, but to set the scene we have to go back further. I have been mildly allergic to a number of things my whole life. We didn't figure it out until I was in my early 30s. So for over 30 years, I would frequently choke on food. My lower esophagus was constantly inflamed. So choking may be the wrong term, because I could usually breathe, but food would get stuck, and it hurt to breathe. I had terrible migraines, joint pain, exhaustion, a messed up gut, and was more or less in a mild state of anaphylaxis, from what I understand. After multiple visits to neurologists, orthopedic specialists, ENTs, and other specialists, I finally got an endoscopy scheduled to see about stretching my esophagus. The doctor came back that it wasn't so much that my esophagus was small, it was inflamed. He recommended I see an allergist to get myself sorted. The allergist did a blood draw and was floored that I hit so markers on my results. She had me tested again to be sure. Basically, dogs, cats, and shellfish were the only things they tested for that I didn't have at least a small reaction to. The two biggest ones were gluten and milk. Doctor says to try cutting out those two and see how I feel. I feel like I'm never going to enjoy food again is how I feel. Fast forward a few short months and I've gotten used to the new diet. I had to cut a few other things, but nothing I can't live without. I'm feeling better, never choking, migraines drop from 2 to 3 a week to 1 every month or so, and joint pain drops to what I understand is normal for a middle-aged man, who's really done some damage to his body in the past. Now for the F up. The doctor did warn me that cutting out certain foods, and my body getting used to not having to fight them, may cause issues if I accidentally ingest them later, and it happened. I ate something I shouldn't have. I don't even know what it was. It definitely wasn't on purpose. My throat starts to swell. It begins to hurt to breathe. I wheeze out for my wife to grab the Benadryl. I take a few and try to push them down with water from the bathroom sink. Too much water. Rejected. They come back up. Water comes out of my mouth and nose. I take 2 more and try to steady myself with a painful, shaky breath. I take a much smaller sip of water and try to get them down. They won't go. I keep swallowing. They won't go. I try a 3rd time. Nothing. F this, I try to make them come up. They won't come up either. My wife, in full panic, standing in the bathroom door, has the 9 and the 1 pressed on the phone, begging me to give her the go-ahead. I shake my head no. I can still more or less breathe. I hit my knees by the toilet and heave trying to get the pills to move. They move. But as they do, I feel warm fluid and pain coming with them. Blood. I cough. More blood. Not a lot, but enough for concern. My wife helps me to the car. We are about 15 minutes from the closest ER. It's faster to drive me there than call an ambulance to come get me and drive back. They admit me a something to me that takes the swelling down quickly. Then non-emergency ambulance me to the larger hospital an hour away. That has specialists that can help me if things get complicated. I've got 2 lacerations in my esophagus. There's not a lot they can do other than put me on an IV, keep an eye out for infection, and let them heal naturally. I'm not allowed to eat or drink for a week, just IV. My wife is not permitted to see me due to COVID restrictions. The longest a week of my life. 10/10 do not recommend. Not to mention we had a 3-month-old at the time. Tell you what, that first bite of Jell-O never tasted so good. So what do you guys want to hear about next? I've got concussion snowboarding, concussion 4-wheeling, near drowning, near vasectomy, the prequel. It's odd that it happened twice. My dog's vasectomy, the sequel. I know it's becoming a theme, but it's a heck of a story. Let my loving wife pick. TLDR, I had an allergic reaction to something and tried to force some pills down my swelling throat. It tore. Spent a week alone in the hospital, unable to eat or drink. Today I effed up. TIFU by trying to find my cavity. I've got a toothache somewhere on the left side of my mouth. It's hard to tell where because it's inside my mouth, and I'm not sure if it's a cavity or something a lot worse like a cracked tooth. I had the brilliant idea to try and find the issue by pressing really hard on every single tooth on the left side of my mouth. Then whichever one hurt was the bad tooth, and I could check it for cracks or decay or gum issues. So I pressed every tooth individually as hard as I could until I found the one that hurt. And now my face feels like it's on fire, because I stupidly purposefully aggravated my cavity in an attempt to find it. It's been 2 hours and it still hurts. I think I might have actually made it worse. TLDR, I am in horrible pain because I was stupid and pushed on my bad tooth. Today I effed up. TIFU by setting an alarm. So I'm a teenager, and I sometimes have some very stupid ideas. Like the last night, when my parents confiscated my phone like they do each night, and my dumbass decided it would be a good idea to prank them by setting an alarm at 5 a.m. In my very meager defense, my parents wake up before then, so I didn't expect it to be that inconvenient. I was wrong. The alarm somehow didn't turn off, and I have no clue what the ever-loving fuck my parents did. But the easy little block puzzle turned into some weird colored tiles thing that I had no clue how to solve when they tossed it into my room angrily. Very angrily, because they were absolutely furious, and nothing could save me now. They pretty much told me they hoped I was happy now because I'd never be seeing my phone again. Or any other device for that matter, ever. I'm going to take it that means at least until I can get a job and buy my own. Right now, I'm typing this on my iPad, because my parents haven't taken that away yet. They're incredibly pissed, and I can't bring myself to go downstairs and face them. I'm pretty sure the alarm is still periodically ringing. For perspective, this wasn't the final straw or anything. The only thing I was even somewhat in trouble for was that I currently have a B in math. All of this came solely from the alarm. Almost all of my hobbies are things I do online or on a device I write on Google Docs, draw on a tablet, read by downloading PDFs, play video games, and even for studying, I usually use online resources. I guess this is what it means to fuck around and find out. TLDR, I tried to prank my parents by setting an alarm, fucked up, and have permanently lost my privilege to use devices. By some miracle, the alarm is still ringing.